Hello. So this happened a few days ago, and the reason that I didn't make a video right away was I really just needed time to process it because it was a really horrible thing that happened on Saturday night. So here's what happened. Saturday, I was celebrating my birthday with two of my friends. One of my friends, it was her first time going topless outside at all, ever. First time freeing the nipple with me. Yay. So my other friend doesn't like to be topless. So we were hanging out on my back deck with my two lovely dogs, hula hooping and chatting and having some ciders and, just having fun. It was really nice out, very hot out. Everyone seemed to be outside. And me and my friend were topless. And we saw people see us, whatever. It was on my back deck, so I kind of overlooked my parking lot. But you can see other people's houses and yards and stuff from far away. And at one point, my friend, who was also topless, said, "Oh my God, that woman just gave me a death stare." And I was like, "Who?" And she was like, "That woman going into the building next to you. She shares our parking lot." And so I looked at the woman, and I guess she was with her boyfriend or husband or whatever, and she was still just looking at us with disgust, utter disgust. And I was like, I'm pretty confrontational, so I was just like, "Yeah, this is what you look like when you're naked or topless or whatever." I was like, "This is what you look like. Maybe a little different, but this is what's under your shirt." She didn't say anything, just disgust, and just went inside. So anyway, hours went by, and then eventually it got cold, and we were inside for hours. My friend Olivia went home, so it was just me and my friend Samantha, who was topless with me. And it must have been 9 at night, and we hear boom, 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 boom on my door. So I had 3 dogs at the time at my house, and they all freaked the fuck out. I was topless inside because I was hot. So I answered the door topless because I'm not going to, why put on a shirt? I don't fucking care. It's my body, my house. I'm doing nothing wrong. So it was 2 policemen, a black man, and who was just kind of standing there. He didn't really talk. He was just behind this slightly older white guy with missing teeth. And I had called the police to make a noise complaint earlier in the day, and the police never came. And so I thought they were there for that. And I was like, "Oh, I called earlier about a noise complaint, but that was hours ago, and, they've turned it down now, so thank you." And they were like, "Well, actually, we're here for you." We got a 911 call, really 911, it's that big of an emergency, about hula hooping topless on the deck. Or they maybe not even said topless, maybe they said naked, because to them, oh, I'm naked if I'm topless. And I was like, "Okay." And they're like, "Well, that's against the law. Certain body parts it's illegal for them to be exposed in public." And I was like, "Well, I was on my deck, and I don't agree with that law anyway, so is there anything else you have to say?" And they just kept, and my friend was speaking up, and I was so happy to have her there because I've always been the aggressive one, and I didn't want any trouble, but I was going to voice my opinion, and they just kind of kept mansplaining and just kept telling us what the law was, and we were like, "We know what the law is, and we don't agree with it." And, we were just outside topless because men can be topless, so we believe we have that right too. And they just kept, and then they were like, "Well, we're going to have to see your ID." And my friend, God bless her, not that I believe in God, refused to give her ID. She was wearing a shirt, so she was a little less incriminated. I answered the door topless. I had hula hoops behind me, whatever. And I was like, "Why?" And they're like, "Oh, because we can't leave until we have it. You can either give it to us or we can arrest you." And he put his hand on his gun or whatever to intimidate me. And I was like, I was having such a great day and such a great night with my new friend Samantha. And I was just like, the only reason, like, I was like, if I give you my ID, will you fucking leave and leave us alone? Because the only reason I'm giving you my ID is because I'm having an incredible time with my friend. Plus, I'm disabled. I don't really want to go to jail for the night right now. I'd rather have a planned arrest, not in my own home. So fucked up, so dehumanizing. And so I gave them my ID. They took down my information, and then Samantha followed them out. And she I was crying in the apartment, and she followed them out so she could lock the door behind them and was like, I hope that one day that you can represent my people as well as your people. And I was like, good for you, girl. So anyway, we start talking again about what happened. We're both very upset by it for like 10 minutes. And then 10 minutes later, boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, Jesus. Like, I answer the door again, topless. And there's 3 of them now, the same 2 guys as before, and then some Indian guy that must be higher ranking or whatever. And he had a lisp, so it's a very interesting group of people. And he was telling us that we were exposing ourselves to children and that I was a sex offender. He's like, I want you to understand, you know, there are community standards and you're violating them. You can't expose yourself to children. That makes you a sex offender. And I was like, I'll expose myself to children all day, every day, if that's what you're going to call it. I don't see it as exposing myself to children. I don't see it as me being a sexual offender. Like, men with breasts bigger than mine can be topless, and why can't I? Even if I was flat-chested, I'm still not allowed. Just because of what's in between my legs, and because I appear to identify as a woman, I'm breaking the law. And I don't care that I'm breaking the law. The fact that there were 2 ethnic cops, the fact that, like, they were just like, well, it's the law, so it's right. No, it's not. I'm sorry you weren't here when, you know, there was slavery and discrimination. I mean, sorry, well, discrimination and segregation. But people fought so that you could have the right to be in the position that you are now instead of what it used to be like. I am doing the same thing. And even if they think it's silly, I don't. And a lot of women don't think it's silly. And a lot of men don't think it's silly. It's fucking sexism. It is sexism at its... I mean, there's no better definition of you can't be topless because you're a woman. Because men find me not me, but, you know, women's breasts too sexual. They just can't be out. Because men can't control themselves. And we're just asking to get raped, aren't we? And, oh, God forbid, children see a woman's breast, which probably fed them when they were a baby. Everybody came from a fucking woman. And we're not going to respect a woman's body is just fucking ridiculous. And I have to tell you that I have been, I mean, lots of people know this. I have done lots of protests. Usually, you know, Harvard Square, the Commons, Copley Square, the Greenway. I've been topless many times, and I have come in contact with the police many times. And never have I had such a dehumanizing experience as this one. I mean, the second time they came was truly horrific. I mean, he was telling me I was a sex offender, exposing myself. Whenever we tried to respond to him, he would just continue speaking over us. And every time we would try and respond, he would put his hand on his gun. And that after he had done it like 5 times, I said, sir, why whenever we're responding to you, do you reach for your gun? And he's like, I'm not doing that. I fucking hate that about cops. They will literally say, I'm not doing such and such while they're fucking doing it. Just because they know they can get away with saying whatever the fuck they want. Because they can put me in jail. Or shoot me. I mean, and they were yelling and they were saying that I was offending children and the neighbors or whatever. And me and my friend said, you're offending us right now. You come into my home, yelling, speaking over me, telling me I'm a sex offender, And I'm, you're, just because I'm the one that's breaking the law doesn't mean that I don't have rights, doesn't mean that I don't know what the law is, and doesn't mean that I don't deserve respect, and doesn't mean that I don't have feelings. I was very offended. My neighbors were offended. I'm not talking about the neighbor that called the police on me. I'm talking about like the neighbors in my home who had to hear that, this cop yelling at us. And I went and spoke to my neighbors, and all my neighbors in my home, fully support what I do and think it's ridiculous that it happened. So, I mean, it was by far the worst experience I've had with the police. Man or woman, I've been out in public and the police still just come and say, like, hey, like, you have to put something on. They don't call me a sex offender. I've had people say, we know what you're doing, we understand, but unfortunately you do need a cover up. And in those cases, I do. I put my Tata top on and I say, do you feel safer now? To kind of just make them fucking think about how ridiculous it is. That, I can technically wear this, that makes it look like I'm topless, but I can't actually be topless. And why? Everyone has nipples, and yet my nipples being shown. I could do this, and people would say I'm a slut or whatever, but it would be legally fine. And men have nipples, and yet it's just the one part we can't show. It's just baffling to me. So it just reaffirmed why I fucking fight for this cause, because women deserve the same right as men do. And I am not just sex. Women are not just fucking sex. We are people. This is how I came into the fucking world. If it is hot out, I'm not going to wear a fucking bra or a t-shirt that I'm sweating through. If I will go swimming, I want to swim fucking topless like a man, because this is uncomfortable. And having something tied around your neck is bad for your posture. It pulls on your neck to do this, and it is bad for your spine. So if you're a man and you disagree with me, then I dare you to fucking wear a bikini top every time you go swimming this summer and see how you like it. I dare you to not take your shirt off once this summer and see how you like it. Because believe it or not, in the 1920s, men had to wear one-piece bathing suits and they weren't allowed to expose their nipples. But they fucking striked, and now they have that right. And I want that same right because I deserve it. So anyway, free the fucking nipple. Also, if you want Tata top, I have like 20 left in pale, medium skin tone, and dark skin tone. And I'm in Boston, so if you want to buy one locally from me, hit me up. And $5 of each top goes to charity. So that was my experience the other day, and I finally did a video. Bye. Mwah!